the music. Turn up the volume.
Obviously, one of my favorite classes is the Rogue. We've got like a revision of the Rogue. We got playtest of the Rogue, and we've
rogues
got
are
a
already
Rogue subclass
pretty
as
strong.
well. What are we seeing new for this beloved class?
So the first thing to say about the Rogue is people love it. We within the past year, we did a big survey of asking people their satisfaction with not only all of the classes in the 2014 Player's Handbook, but also all of the features in those classes. And one of the things that became super clear about the Rogue is almost everything in this class is beloved.
Okay.
And so people are going to see in this playtest fewer things have changed in the Rogue than in, say, the Bard or the Ranger. The Rogue
there were
is
some
so
jank
solid
things,
in the
but
2014 PH, and again, so beloved, that what you're going to see here is a sequence of careful refinements rather than sort of big swings. Because when we looked at, hey everyone, what do you think? Most of what we saw, and in some cases the satisfaction levels from the thousands of people who took those surveys were in the 90 percentile range. Like some of the Rogue features were like 95% satisfaction, 96% satisfaction, which is a message to us of tread carefully. Like let's make sure that, where there's an opportunity to improve something, we do so, but otherwise, let the Rogue be the Rogue. Now, the story's a little different when we get to the Rogue subclasses.
Yes.
So
there were
we'll talk about
lots
the
of bad
separately.
subclasses.
In the base class, some of the main things you're going to see is
Or at
that
least
some of the
less
features
useful.
in the class have moved around a bit, including the Rogue getting their second subclass feature way sooner than they did before. Because one of the things that was a bit of a pain point for Rogues in the past is this feeling of waiting too long for your second subclass feature. Because Rogues had a much bigger gap.
Yes, it's massive.
Between their first subclass feature and their later features,
it's like
than most of our
7th or 9th level.
But also someone is going to notice if they look at all three
level.
classes in this Unearthed Arcana, that all three classes get their subclass features at the same levels. That's intentional. We are normalizing subclass progression. And there are a number of reasons for this. One of this is
can you please
so
normalize it
sync
at
up
first
how
level
subclasses
for the first part of the
function better.
subclass?
It will also make multi-classing a bit more smooth in terms of what to expect as you dip into different classes. We can talk about more about this angle perhaps in a future video.
Right, yeah.
But the main thing that is significant for the Rogue is they're going to get the goodies from their subclasses sooner and be able to enjoy them sooner. We've also improved several of the features in subtle but fun ways.
A lot of Rogues
super simple
felt
example
really similar.
Thieves' Cant now not only gives you Thieves' Cant, but another language.
6th level.
The narrative of this feature being that as a person who has spent a lot of time getting to know a particular town or city or other area, getting to know it very well as a part of your roguish work, we realized, well, you wouldn't only have picked up this Thieves' Cant, but also extra ways to just talk to people normally. We also have improved in subtle ways features like Slippery Mind, where now instead of just getting,
Actually, I'm going to talk about this here. You know what? We're going to turn on the music because this is going to take me a minute. But this is something from much earlier editions of D&D that I want to add back in for Celestia. And I've been working on the exact details for a bit. But as part of making intelligence more important, one of the features that intelligence will give in Celestia going forward is actually that it will affect how many languages you can know. So by default, your background is going to give you 1, maybe 2 languages, as well as the common language, which is called Trade Tongue in Celestia. So, you have a good shot at like 3 languages. But if you're traveling around the world, you might want some more. So, rogues obviously also get Thieves' Cant. So, what I'm going to do is have intelligence bonus affect how many other languages you can learn. So, yes, if you're a rogue and you have, let's say 12 int, you can have 1 more language you can pick up. And you can learn that from the start, or you can learn that sometime in play. And you're just limited to know these extra languages by your intelligence. But yeah, that's pretty much how I plan it to be. I'm still working on the exact details. I'm thinking maybe proficiency bonus as well. That gives you a lot of potential. I mean, that's 3. So even if you have like no intelligence bonus, you can still pick up a couple of extra languages right from the start even. But that might just be because I know like 8 languages. I mean, I'm not fluent in them all, but I can definitely say a few things in quite a few and understand even more. So, yeah. I definitely want to see that added in. But I'm not sure it belongs on the rogue. So I'm going to get back to letting him talk.
Wisdom saves, you get wisdom and charisma saves, because what we're doing here is just turning the volume up on the rogue
Are
a
there
little bit.
charisma
And
saves?
one of
This
the
is what I want to
rogue's,
know.
characteristics is being extremely resilient in tricksy ways. What I mean by that is we have other classes that are resilient, but they tend to be resilient in the ways of like they have a high armor class, so they have a lot of hit points, or they're able to heal people. The paladin is all 3 of those things. The rogue is resilient in other ways. The rogue is resilient through uncanny dodge, through evasion, through slippery mind. The rogue is the one you can't even you can't even land a hit on, or even when you do, it doesn't do what you think it was going to do, or when the spell is cast on them, well, they seem to actually avoid most of its harm. That's what the rogue, one of the things the rogue is all about. The rogue also, of course, is about sneak attack, and sneak attack is still here. It's foundational for the class. But one of the brand new features
really
that rogues
get
get in this playtest is an ability at 13th level called Subtle Strikes. In sneak attack, rogues have always been able to sneak attack somebody that they either have advantage against when they're attacking with a finesse weapon or a ranged weapon, or if one of their allies is within 5 feet of their target and their ally isn't incapacitated. So it's that second requirement of you can sneak attack when somebody else, it's sort of virtual flanking. Someone else is flanking that target. What Subtle Strikes does for the rogue at 13th level is turn the volume up on that a little bit, because what Subtle Strikes does is gives the rogue advantage whenever attacking anyone who is within 5 feet of one of their allies who is not incapacitated. So rather than that situation being an on switch for sneak attack, it's now sort of a double on switch, because now that situation just automatically gives the rogue advantage, which advantage itself enables sneak attack, but now you have that extra boost of just bam, I just got advantage. It's a high-level feature. It's really tasty, and I think it's going to make high-level rogue play really nice, because our thinking here is once you are approaching like being not just a rogue, but an epic rogue, you eventually shouldn't have to worry as much about setting up your sneak attack. That you eventually get to the point of like, I've got this. I've been doing this for 13 levels now. I am a pro, unlike anybody else. Rogues also are going to benefit from things the other classes in the playtest are benefiting from. Their 20th level feature from the past, Stroke of Luck, they now get at 18th level. They're getting an epic boon at 20th level. And then there is the subclass that's here that has a whole bunch of improvements.
Right.
And that is the Thief.
Yeah, let's get into the Thief.
Thief needed a lot of improvement, trust me.
So the Thief has little new options, tune-ups all over the place. I'm looking at it right now, and things like second story work, where functionally similar to what it was before, except now you just straight up get a climb speed, and one of the new options here for the Thief is you can now use your dexterity when you jump instead of your strength.
Nice.
Okay, that part is nice.
Because we really want the Thief, the sort of the classic treasure hunting kind of cat burglar style subclass, to be great at this, of getting to those hard to reach places. We also have made Supreme Sneak, where you have advantage on your dexterity stealth checks. We've made it a little easier. We now don't require you to slow down. We just require that you're not wearing medium or heavy armor to have this on. Use Magic Device, which you now get at 10th level, has gotten really juicy. We wanted to make it clearer what this feature does for you, and especially as we're exploring more this idea of the Thief being, again, sort of a cat burglar / treasure hunter type. This feature now gives you several awesome abilities. One, it lets the Thief attune to a 4th magic item. So they get to cheat and go beyond the base 3.
Which makes sense.
Which, by the way, the Thief cheating was a theme in some of these redesigns, like the Thief getting to use dexterity for jumping instead of strength, the Thief getting to attune to 4 magic items instead of 3. Still not as many magic items as the Artificer can attune to.
But if anyone's going to be stealing,
yes. Yes.
Yeah.
The Thief also has now the chance, whenever they use a magic item that has charges, a chance that they use it in the charges and it's expended. They also have clearer rules now on how they can use scrolls. We've also changed how Thief's reflexes work. That feature previously gave the Thief an extra turn at the beginning of a combat. That sometimes created some initiative messiness. Mm-hmm. We wanted to give you something that wasn't locked to the first round of a combat and wasn't creating potential problems for the DM with initiative. And so the new Thief's reflexes now allows the Thief a certain number of times per day to take a second bonus action on some of their turns. So this Thief, few times a day.
Again, you've cheated now.
You've
get
used
2 bonus
cheated.
actions.
And again, this is the cheating theme for the Thief. Instead of the only 1 bonus action that everyone else is bound to, you get on certain turns 2. Again, this is limited. You're not going to be able to do it all day long, but I think awesome. It's going to make the Thief the person, and this is by design, who when people are playtesting it, I'm hoping the response will often be by the other players at the table observing the Thief in play. Like, you did what?
Yeah.
Wait, you were able
You're
to do
not
that?
allowed to do that. Yeah. It's going to be a lot of it.
And that is the whole point of the subclass, is they are tweaking the rules in a way that is thematically appropriate for them.
I still gonna be able to cast two full level spells.
No, well, because again, these are bonus actions, not a whole turn.
No, I just want to cheat everything.
So the other thing that is critical, not just for the Thief, but for the whole rogue, is that change to the light weapon property that we talked about earlier. Now, because of the change to the light weapon property in this playtest,
Yes.
We
already heard that
use
with
of two
Ranger,
light weapons,
but
if that's how you choose
it
to
was
fight
definitely
as a rogue,
critical
no
for
longer uses your
rogues.
bonus action. Because
Because
now,
if you miss
light
the one
weapons,
attack you get, you're kind of
again,
screwed.
just in these playtest rules, we'll see if this
Now at
makes
least
it
you
into
can
the
have
final
two.
version of the books. Light weapons now allow you, when you attack on your turn with the attack action, to make that extra attack that used to require your bonus action,
Right.
you now get to do it as part of the same attack action that the other attack was a part of. And that frees up the rogue who likes to use like 2 daggers or 2 short swords or some other combination of light weapons, allows them to do that style of fighting on the same turn that they're using their bonus action for cunning
Yes.
action, for example.
That's actually been an
So
issue.
this is going to be, not only
that
is
I'll
it a big deal
mention
for
in a sec.
Rangers, this is going to be a really big deal in the playtest for rogues. Because it means if you are a rogue who likes light weapon use, you're no longer having that usage competing
Right.
with the other things that rogues want to use their bonus action for. Because
Yes.
rogues are, in many ways, the preeminent bonus action class, because cunning action is
Yes.
amazing for rogues, has been, for all of 5th edition. And we want to make sure that its use is protected for rogue players. And that was one of the many reasons why we created the version of the light weapon property that appears here.
All right, so the thing I was going to mention about the bonus action and using it for an attack in Celestia, one of my rogues, part of the key aspect of the original Celestia campaign is that characters can develop celestial paths. And one of those for her was Alacrity. She's really fast. So she got to take a full action, basically, as a bonus action, which meant she would get another 2 attacks from using a weapon in each hand. It's meant that she's really capable in combat. She can just annihilate someone. Even if she only hits once, which has happened, she can still get in that sneak attack. And if she does get the sneak attack and can get a couple hits in, she can deal as much damage as the big hitters in the group. So she's definitely on par with the other big hitters. But when she does that, oh, and I should turn on my music. So when she does that, it's sort of an issue because she can't use her bonus action to do other things. But for Celestia, I did it at a higher level, but they do get extra attack. So, yeah, for me, extra attack was something that they deserved. Maybe not at 5th level, but they should have too. Especially for, like, ranged rogues. They felt a lot less useful because there were a lot less chances to proc sneak attack. Which means sometimes you can't hit and you just wasted your turn. It feels really bad in combat. So, yeah, that was why I definitely wanted to do that. So, obviously, D8s. Same as before, acrobatics, investigation, sleight of hand, and stuff. I mean, that's a pretty good slap of abilities. Deception is good in there. Yeah, and dexterity is the primary ability. That's what I figured. Dexterity and intelligence are saving throws. And martial weapons that have the finesse property. That is definitely handy definitely. Light armor, that's all normal. Expertise, sneak attack. I wish they wouldn't have done this one, but they had just done it as getting advantage and let you have this as basically a normal part. But, whatever. Thieves can't. Yeah, and the whole thing about more languages, I would just like everyone to be able to have more languages. Cutting actions, subclass, feat, uncanny dodge. Yeah, this is basically what that ranger ability does, except that the ranger ability seems to have a weird requirement that someone else is within 5 feet to take half the damage. But I like uncanny dodge. There's our expertise again. Evasion, definitely super useful. Reliable. Okay, so you can just take 10, effectively. Take 10 is an old rule. I like to use it at a certain point, because it makes some checks a lot easier. Especially with bonuses. You could just take 10, add your bonus, and you're done. Which for a basic roll for someone who should be really capable at something, is definitely nice. Automatic level of success. Especially when I'm a GM, I like to set my DCs not as a single number, but as a spectrum. So maybe if you, especially when it's something like maybe investigation or persuasion, a 10 is enough to get the base positive, whatever that is. And that can change. And maybe 14 is the next point. If you can get at least a 14, then you get this much of a benefit. And if you get to 18, that's this much of a benefit. And if you get over 20, maybe there's this other benefit. I like that sliding scale of what it gives you. Obviously, that's a pure example. I don't normally break them out into like 4-point groups, but it's definitely nice to be able to take 10 and at least get a success. A minimal one. Anyways, especially in something like maybe stealth. I figure for a thief, taking 10 on stealth is really nice. There's our subtle strikes. Slippery mind. Which basically gives you 2 more saving throws. More feats. Elusive. Oh wow. No attack roll has advantage against you while you aren't incapacitated. Wow. Just, you can't have advantage against you. That is kind of crazy powerful, I gotta say. Though at 17th level, definitely seems useful. And appropriate. Stroke of luck. So you just take 20. That is what this is. Once a day, you can just say, nope, I'm taking 20. My answer is a 20. And add your bonus. And it's back on a short rest. You can only use it once on a short rest, but if you have that one thing you absolutely, positively must do, that is just crazy insane. I take 20. I like that. I don't know. They get like double capstones. Both elusive and stroke of luck are really nice. Right, and let's take a look at thief. So you can do search and sleight of hand as bonus actions. I don't know, picking a lock or disarming a trap or picking someone's pocket. Especially picking someone's pocket, I definitely feel like that should be a bonus action. Regardless of this, but I like getting the climb speed and the jump distance thing with dexterity. Definitely feels really nice. So, we don't get medium or heavy armor. So, basically, Supreme Sneak is always in effect. And it gives us advantage on dexterity checks for stealth. I mean, that's super good. Advantage is always nice. Getting to take the better of two rolls. I mean, who doesn't want that? Use magic device. I don't quite like what they did with scrolls. Especially here. I would let a rogue who had this ability, though I don't think it belongs to the thief. It feels like it should be some other, like, rogue subclass. But if I were gonna give him the ability to use any scroll, I would just give him the ability. Let's not make the Arcana check. Because they probably don't have Arcana. I mean, it's not one of the things to choose from for skills. Which means this is less useful than I would want it to be. So I definitely want to do something with that. Not quite sure what. But I definitely want to do something with it. I don't like the not necessarily using a charge thing. That seems iffy to me. I can see why it's nice to have, but if I were gonna give that to someone, I would make it like the wizard or the sorcerer. Yeah. And yeah, it has to be a cunning action for this thief's reflexes. I mean, I could see why it would be useful, but I don't know. I just don't like that. Feels icky. I mean, dodge would be the obvious thing. Give everyone disadvantage against you in combat. But I don't know. I just don't like that. Alright, then we get into feats. But they do have a video about feats. So let's take a look at that. Let me turn off the music.